clinical study was 80%.
Holy crap. That's insane.
The average improvement in sleep, duration of sleep, was in the high 70s. There was improvement in recovery, energy, libido, hair, skin, and nails, reduction in anxiety, and recovery from stressful situations much faster.
Yeah. All right, guys, we got Justin here, CEO of Rebalance Health. Thanks for joining us today, Justin.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
Yeah, we're going to talk cortisol. One of the most misunderstood things on social media, right?
Absolutely misunderstood.
Yeah, what are the myths you see around cortisol?
Cortisol face is one of the big ones. That cortisol is stress. Stress is cortisol. Stress is anxiety. Everything gets kind of interwoven to one another, and they are linked, but they are not interchangeable.
Yeah, I actually assumed it was stress, so it's not stress.
It's the easiest way of doing it. Cortisol is your fight or flight hormone. It is your body's natural alarm system to tell you when you need to be on alert. Typically, it's used as a safety system. You're on highlight, you're about to be mugged. There's a fire in the building. Something's happened that requires your instant attention. Like there's an accident, there's a fire, something. It's to get you up. Then all of a sudden adrenaline kicks in, and that is basically the chemical that's helping you actually get into action. So one is kind of waking you up to it, getting you hyper focused. The other one is getting you into action to actually do something about it.
Got it.
And the problem that we have as a society, especially over the past 30 years, is the fact that our cortisol levels are getting higher and higher and higher because we are doing more and more and more at a faster pace.
Yeah.
And that's what's causing high levels of cortisol, which directly affects how we sleep. And that sleep is what is critical to all of us. It's the original biohacking. If you sleep, you actually get to regenerate, to recover. And in your deep sleep, you make your sex hormones, your testosterone, your estrogen, and your progesterone. So a lot of people are supplementing with HRT when really they should be focusing on protecting and getting more sleep.
Interesting. Why do you think the cortisol levels are so high these days?
Technology, 100%.
So phones.
Yeah, if you think about it, 30 years ago, we didn't have the internet, right? Or just beginning. We didn't have email. We didn't really have smartphones at all. And so the pace of life was much slower. You wanted to watch a series of TVs, you go to get a DVD or Blu-ray, something like that, and you could go through it, but it was costly, right? You'd have to have a lot of money to go binge watch all the shows because you'd have to buy the DVDs and the Blu-rays. Prior to that, you would go to Blockbuster or a video store, and you would be one or two copies of that movie behind the sleeve on the shelf. And if you were lucky, you got that one and you got to watch it.
Yeah.
Right? One per weekend, maybe two. You didn't get to watch episode after episode after episode. And so we have become addicted to whether it is work or whether it is content or whether it's entertainment, it doesn't matter. And now when that phone beeps or dings, our cortisol rises. Did someone respond to us? How many followers looked at my podcast? How many people are subscribing? How many people are ordering? That raises our cortisol levels, our stress levels. Everything gets elevated. And what happens is you're unable to actually fall asleep because by the time you go into bed, your cortisol levels through the roof.
Damn. I'm guilty of that for sure.
Right? So you lie in bed and you just, monkey brain.
Yeah, I'm scrolling on TikTok and just getting dopamine.
Right. You're getting that hit. And forget about blue lights and all the stuff that's triggering, the body to naturally release cortisol. But you want to turn your brain off, right? Get your cortisol levels as low as possible so you can fall asleep quickly. And then, key word here, stay asleep, right? Even waking up once, even to use the bathroom, is clinically treated as a bad night's sleep.
Damn. I do that a lot.
Yeah,
so that's considered a bad night's sleep.
Bad night's sleep.
Why is that?
Because you interrupted your natural circadian rhythm, your light, deep REM sleep cycle. And you only get 60 to 90 minutes of deep sleep on average a night within a 7 to 8 hour period of uninterrupted sleep.
Right.
If you wake up, you actually forfeit deep sleep.
Damn.
And so you're making less and less deep sleep. Guess what you're making your deep sleep? Your hormones.
Hormones, yeah.
And so if you've only got 60 to 90 minutes and you wake up 2 or 3 times, That's going down to 30 minutes, 20 minutes, and then you just don't feel great in the morning.
So your testosterone's probably lower that day.
Everything, testosterone, progesterone, estrogen.
Hey guys, shout out to today's sponsor, Kinsta. Running an online business is already a challenge. Your website hosting shouldn't make it harder, and I've been there, dealing with slow load times, confusing dashboards, and unreliable support. That's why I switched over to Kinsta, and it's been a game changer for my brand. Since moving to Kinsta, my site loads faster, runs smoother, and I don't have to stress about downtime. Their intuitive dashboard makes managing everything simple, and their 24/7 expert support means I always have real people whenever to help when I need it. Kinsta's built for performance with blazing fast speeds, enterprise-level security, and 37 global data centers to ensure your site reaches audiences quickly. They also handle free migrations, so switching is effortless, and if you ever get a traffic spike, Kinsta automatically scales to keep your site online when it matters most. I'm not the only one who trusts Kinsta. TripAdvisor, NASA, Indeed, and over 120,000 businesses rely on Kinsta for their WordPress hosting. So if you want hosting that works, just make the switch to Kinsta today. Get your first month free. They'll even handle the migration for you. Just visit kinsta.com/DSH to get started. That's KINSTA.com/DSH.
Men don't have progesterone, but we do have estrogen, right? And so when you're not making those hormones, it really affects you. Now you also make HGH, the human growth hormone.
Yeah.
And if that's basically your recovery hormone. And so that's what's making us invincible when we're in our 20s, maybe less so invincible in our 30s. And in the 40s, everything starts to ache and we're not quite able to do what we used to do as fast as we used to do it. That's because we're not making as much HGH or testosterone for men and women.
Yeah.
And so as we're getting older, we actually have to be more and more diligent about our sleep and look after our sleep. More so than you have to worry about ice baths or infrared saunas, right? All these other wonderful things that you can do. The foundation of biohacking, if that's the term you want to use, is sleep.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, all these people that are injecting hormones, have they been told about getting good sleep first?
It's a great question. Now, I am a proponent of HRT. I think it's a great scientific solution for a lot of people. You had a hysterectomy, if you're older in life, you're not making those hormones because your just body aren't making as much, even if you get the 7 to 8 hours of sleep, right? You're on a diminishing scale.
Yeah.
And so augmenting with HRT makes sense, but not when you're 30, unless it's clinically necessary, right? And so I think what's happening is people are jumping to HRT too quickly. And it's a great solution, but it shouldn't be the first.
Yeah, I've also heard once you're on it, it's hard to get off, right?
Well, the studies show, specifically with HRT, that if you've been on it for more than 12 to 18 months, there's an 80% chance your body will never make that hormone again, even if you come off of it.
Dang. So you're on it for life at that point.
Pretty much.
Holy crap.
Right. Not everyone, but the vast, vast majority of people have it in the studies show that their bodies don't make it again, so they have to get back on it.
Wow, that's nuts. Yeah, and they could have just worked on their sleep first, and then if that didn't work, maybe...
Exactly.
Yeah, that would have been the...
But it's not just sleep, it's sleep hygiene, right? So it's preparing yourself for bed, right? You can't just go from your podcast room straight to your bed to go, I'm going to take 8 hours of sleep.
Right.
It doesn't work that way, right? So you still have to look after your health, your exercise, right? And there's no science, rocket science to this. Burn more calories than you consume, right? Drink lots of water, eat healthy food, do some exercise of some sort, and look after your sleep. You'll be amazed at how wonderful you feel. And when it comes to getting ready for sleep, like, let's turn off the screens. Let's turn off all the stimulating content at least 2 hours before bed, right? Let's not have a big meal just before bed. Why? I'm going to wake up and use the bathroom 4 or 5 hours later. Right. So consume your calories and your water content as early as you can in the day, maybe into the afternoon. And yes, you know, it may sound like an old fart. Yeah, 5 o'clock reservations for dinner sound really good, because if I'm going to bed at 10 o'clock, I don't want to be eating at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's too close together, which is going to disrupt my sleep. And the older we get, the more maniacal we have to be about our schedule.
Yeah, those late dinners mess me up, man.
Yeah. And alcohol messes people up.
I get invited in Vegas to late dinners and alcohol and bar and stuff, and I'm like, nah, I can't do it. I feel like Brian Johnson sometimes, you know?
But I mean, alcohol, everyone thinks it's a sedative. It's going to help put me to sleep. It is a sedative for the first hour or two, and then it gets metabolized and becomes sugar and becomes a stimulant. And so guess what happens? Most people, when they drink and they go to bed, they'll wake up a few hours later.
Yep.
I feel way worse when I sleep after drinking.
Absolutely.
Way worse.
Yeah. So I'm a proponent of everyone drinking at breakfast.
Irish coffee, is it? Yeah,
Yeah.
Irish coffee.
No, but seriously, it's about looking after yourself and setting yourself up for success. And you don't have to be a monk about it and be a priest and be absolutely perfect. But 80% of the time, you should really try and do that for your own health.
Yeah.
And you'll be amazed at how good you feel.
I agreed. It used to take me hours to sleep. I thought I had an issue.
Yeah.
I've gotten it down to probably like 5 minutes now. And I've heard Brian Johnson say, if you can't fall asleep within 5 minutes, then you probably have an issue, right?
Yep, absolutely. My wife thinks I'm like one of those dolls. As I go this way, my eyes just shut.
Oh, you're that quick?
I can go that quickly.
Wow. Yeah, that's impressive, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had this triple click trick. Shout out to Paul Saladino. Blue lights off.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good trick right there.
You know what's a better trick?
Not using it at all.
Yes.
I still need to use it in bed.
A hot bath, a shower, a steam, meditation, ground, go outside and ground, take your shoes, your socks off, put your feet in the earth and just breathe. Be amazed at how quickly your whole body calms down.
It's hard to beat grounding. It's tough to find out here though. Grass. I got turf in my backyard.
Yeah. You know what I find that works for me is actually have a grounding sheet on my bed.
Do those work? Because I'm skeptical of those.
I couldn't tell you, to be quite honestly.
I bought the one that plugs in. That's
what I have.
The one you stand on, not the bed one.
Yeah, no, I have the bed one. It just plugs in and scientifically it makes sense. It goes out, it's grounded. That's what it does as long as the house is built correctly to code.
Right.
And it should help you ground.
Okay. I'll try it out.
But for me, yeah, it's about getting a routine together that sets you up for success.
Yeah.
And there comes kind of our product and what we're doing with Rebalance Health.
Yeah, we're going to dive into that. The routine's so important. I used to make fun of my girlfriend for like changing clothes before bed, but it helps her sleep.
And have a shower.
Yeah, a shower and then changing into pajamas, it actually works.
Yeah. They actually say sleeping naked is better.
Really?
Yeah, because you actually want the temperature of the room to be cold. You want your body to, it drops in temperature, your heartbeat slows down, everything gets calmer. And actually having clothes can actually get you hotter and again, wake you up.
That makes sense.
Right? It's not a sexual thing. It's literally what we do is try and calm our bodies down, get our body temperatures lower, and again, set ourselves up for success. And certainly don't put the cell phone by our bedside table.
I have a Faraday bag, put it in there.
Smart man.
Yeah, those are deadly. Rebalance Health, let's dive into that. So you guys just did a sleep study, right, with Sleep Score?
Yeah, we've got a bunch of studies. It was a very interesting story. So I left my first company, Alastin Skincare, and Nestle asked us to look into a supplement for skincare. And we looked at it, and it didn't quite resonate with us. And we pivoted towards endocrinology. And we did that because the original iteration of Alastin had HGH in it before we came to market. And then we switched it to peptides before we actually launched. And so we already had this kind of fascination around endocrinology and hormones. And I did a deep dive for about 3 or 4 months into hormones. And I fell in love with cortisol. I just thought it was the coolest hormone out there because, believe it or not, every molecule in your body has a cortisol receptor.
Really?
No other molecule or hormone reacts in the same way. So when your cortisol is elevated, right, you feel it from head to toe. You're like,
damn. That's why panic attacks, you feel it everywhere, right?
Yep, everywhere.
Yeah, I thought I was having a heart attack one time.
That's no fun.
No, it's
paper
crazy.
bag is helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that actually works, the paper bag? Is it because the carbon dioxide?
Yeah. Wow. And so I just fell in love with cortisol. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And as I spoke to experts in the space, they started educating me more and more and more. And more experts came in from different fields. And basically we decided, okay, well, let's try and put a supplement together that actually supports lowering cortisol. And as I was going through this process with the team, something crazy happened. My wife was diagnosed with a cortisol disease called Cushing's.
Wow. What are the chances?
Like universe hit me over the head with a brick, right?
Yeah.
And she wasn't doing well. Like she went on to pharmaceuticals, she went on to supplements, she tried everything. And there was a point in which I actually thought she was going to die.
Damn.
It got that bad. And so what turned out as a really fascinating project and business venture became like a just maniacal journey for me. I have to figure out how to do this because I can actually potentially save my wife's life. I'm glad it did get to that extreme where we actually thought that she was going to die. It was just an internal fear that I had because I just saw love of my life just whittling away there, not being able to sleep. And so what we decided to do is we went with, okay, what are the best ingredients on the planet to utilize? And not from a, cheesy perspective, but let's not reinvent the wheel. And so we went to Ayurvedic doctors, we went to Chinese doctors, we found all these wonderful ingredients that all of them. Ashwagandha, maca, L-theanine, ginseng, bacopa, oat straw. These are all ingredients, roots, and herbs that have been proven for literally hundreds and hundreds of years to be efficacious to support the body with their endocrine system, and particularly with cortisol. And so we said, okay, let's put a formula together that kind of works based on all these doctors' guidance. Then we took two other things into consideration, which I think a lot of companies forget about, which is metabolism. Now you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner every, 4 to 6 hours you eat, right? You may snack in between, whatever. But your body's designed to utilize whatever you put inside of it, and then it needs more. So how can you control a hormone that's 24/7 by taking one supplement a day? Because in 4 hours, it's been metabolized. It's gone. So you took it this morning, all of a sudden, building gets on fire. Your cortisol's going through the roof, right? It's going through the roof anyway, regardless of whatever you take. But the example is extreme, but your cortisol is not being managed by that supplement anymore. And so we've decided on a system, a cortisol system, to help keep people in the normal ranges of cortisol, not up here in the extremes all day long. And so we put together a system, a lozenge in the morning, a lozenge in the afternoon, and a lozenge before bed to help support the 24-hour period. And then we looked at delivery systems as to what would be the best. And nothing beats a subcutaneous injection or an IV directly into the blood. Nothing beats that, but then we would be a drug. And so then we looked at the best delivery systems thereafter, which could be anything from nasal sprays to lozenges to gummies, etc. And we chose a lozenge. And that wasn't good enough at that point. Once we'd done that, we're like, okay, let's test it. Let's actually test the product, not just the ingredients, which a lot of companies do. Let's test the product. So we actually got some IRB studies done, double-blind placebo, open label, single placebo studies done and published. And the craziest things started to evolve. We started getting phone calls from women going, my hot flashes have gone. I'm losing weight. I've never slept so well in my life. My kids and my family like me again. I'm no longer hormonal and going crazy as I'm going through perimenopause. Guys are saying the same thing. I feel energized. I'm sleeping great. I've got my testosterone. I got my mojo back. My testosterone levels are increasing. I'm lifting more at the gym. I'm a nicer guy, right? And then we got other people saying, I just feel more even, more calm. It's all linked to cortisol, 100%. And so the challenge that Rebalance has is trying to educate people that cortisol is the root cause. The symptoms that you're experiencing are often one or two derivatives removed from that cause. So people don't consider, having too much visceral fat around their stomach as they get into midlife is directly related to cortisol.
Wow.
People aren't relating the fact that I'm not sleeping to cortisol. People aren't relating the fact that I have low testosterone to cortisol. Why? Cortisol prevents you from sleeping. Sleeping is where you make your hormones. It's a simple cause and effect.
That's crazy. I had a ton of, this is actually one of my big health scares. I had a ton of visceral fat on my organs and I'm super skinny. So I was like, what the hell is going on? But it probably was cortisol because I was pretty stressed at the time too.
I've never known anyone to work as hard as you do, Sean.
I do work pretty hard.
Hours a day.
Yeah.
There's a good reason.
Twice a week.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
15 a week.
So prioritizing your sleep, prioritizing your health, like we spoke about in the room prior. It's not easy, but if you understand the cause and effect, it might help you make some better decisions. Doesn't mean you have to be perfect, but it might make better decisions for the better of your health.
Yeah. Well, I really value sleep. I have an 8 sleep mattress and I track my HRV and my sleep scores. And it's, as I get older, it's so noticeable when I sleep badly. I notice it the next day 100%.
Well, it's amazing. We actually have the CEO and the founder of Sleep Number Beds on our board, and it's all related. It's all connected. And it's actually quite simple when you explain it, but it's not so simple when there's so much noise in the space around you.
A lot of noise.
A lot of noise, right? Isn't it like people scroll the length of the Eiffel Tower on their phone every day?
I could see that.
So how do you stop and actually learn something,
Yeah.
right? Because we want something that's going to make us laugh or something that we find funny most of the time. Not everyone stops on all the educational content, and we've become impatient.
Very.
Very impatient.
I don't like lines. I pay to skip lines. I'm that impatient. Like, I really don't like lines.
Yeah.
I'll leave if it's too long.
Yeah. No, I hear that.
My dad, one of my childhood memories is him at the grocery store. We would leave if the line was too long, have a full shopping cart and just leave it in the middle of the store.
He's gonna take it.
Yeah, he was super impatient.
Yeah.
I don't know if that rubbed off on me. Could have been poor sleep, man.
I'm not a fan of queues or crowded places either.
Yeah.
So when it came back to Rebalance, it's really simple. There's a lodging system. Take 1, feel good. Take 2, feel great. Take 3, and change your life.
Can't wait to try it.
Yeah.
It'll be
Brought some with me.
sick. And it'll be cool because I can measure it on the 8 sleep. I don't know if that correlates, but
100% correct. So everyone goes, well, I'm going to measure my cortisol. Well, it doesn't quite work. Yes, cortisol testing is important, but a lot of doctors dismiss it because you could have a fear of needles. You go to the needle, get a blood draw, and all of a sudden your cortisol's going through, right? You could have had a really bad conversation with someone prior to having your cortisol testing, and your cortisol's through the roof. And so it fluctuates all day long. And so it's really a tough test because it's really a snapshot of what happened at the moment in which you took the test.
yeah.
And so what we recommend and what we've proved with sleep studies and sleep score is simply measure your deep sleep. Measure your deep sleep. If you're getting more deep sleep, you will feel better. And you will know if you're actually aware of this now, tonight you're going to be, okay, I'm going to go to bed.
Yeah, I'll see because I got all the data from the past few months.
Exactly. I get my Aura Ring. I get my sleep bed AI app. And, I'm often either in the high 80s or in the mid 90s.
Let's go.
Score. And that's one of the first things that people experience with Rebalance Health is like, I've never slept so well. It's normally something that people experience within the first few days. Like, oh my God, I've slept better. And well, I'll just take the sleep one. Well, there's the mistake. Preparing for sleep actually starts when you wake up.
How so?
Well, if your cortisol's way out of whack by the time you get to bed, right, you're not going to fall asleep or stay asleep. And you can't just go from up here in cortisol and drop straight down here where you need to be. So the natural curve is you want a nice high cortisol level in the morning with the normal ranges. It comes down in the afternoon as you transition from what I call work mode to play mode. And then you get ready for your bedtime routine and you're bringing that cortisol down nice and gradually so that you're in a relaxed, calm state so that you can fall asleep.
Interesting.
So you can't just go full speed, then drop and go to bed. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And so you have to prepare for it early. And what Rebalance does is help you stay in those normal ranges and kind of take the highs off and the lows off. And so just suck it on these minute lozenges really makes a big difference. And, you end up being addicted to them.
I'm excited to try it.
Because they work.
Yeah, I'm
Simple
pumped.
as that.
Measuring cortisol, is that something you do or no? Because it's a blood test, right?
You can do it through blood, saliva, urine. It can be done. If you're going to do a cortisol test, I highly recommend a 24-hour urine collection sample, which is fun because you're carrying around a big jug. And every time you need to urinate, you put it in there and then they test it. But again, if you had an unusually high stressful day, it's going to be high. And if you've had an unusually mellow day, it's going to be low. So it's not something that you can easily get a score on that it reflects what your true lifestyle is suggesting.
Yeah.
Right? It's out of whack. It's like trying to control your breathing. It's very hard. As soon as you try and track your breathing, it changes, right? It's just constantly evolving.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing. So really, I'm maniacal for sleep. It is all about sleep. And Aura Rings, Fitbits, the Whoops, the Apple Watches, it doesn't matter. Track your sleep with the same device and you'll get a trend and you'll be able to figure it out. But you want to be aiming for 60 to 90 minutes of deep sleep. And if you get more, fabulous. But majority of the population will get 60 to 90 minutes.
I remember watching Shark Tank as a kid and Damon John said he only sleeps 5 hours a day.
That is an interesting topic that we've spoken about quite a bit, which is there is a mentality in the United States to do more, work harder, sleep less. Time is wasting. There's opportunity out there. But at what cost? And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about your health.
Right.
And so scientifically speaking, medically speaking, you need 7 to 8 hours. And the way that I look at it is if I got if you got 4 hours of sleep, how are you functioning that next day? Are you 100% with it? Are you as sharp as a tack?
No, not even close.
Right. So you're making bad decisions potentially, or making poor judgment calls, versus if I got the 7 to 8 hours and you were operating at, 95, 100% effectiveness, you're going to be far better off. You're going to do more in a shorter period of time than you would if you operate on less sleep and needed all day to get it done. So there's efficiency associated with actually looking at it going, yeah, if I actually get a good night's sleep, I'm going to be 10 times more productive and effective tomorrow than if I got 2 hours of sleep or 3 hours of sleep. And a lot of people wear that as a badge of honor. Yeah, I need to operate on 3 hours of sleep. I'm like, well, I'm not getting in the car with you.
Hell no. They say you're actually drunk, right? If you don't sleep.
Yeah.
Like your blood alcohol is the same level.
You're not blood alcohol, but I mean, in terms of your, decision-making skills and reflexes and ability to make decisions when operating either heavy equipment, or whether you're driving a car, or whether you're making financial decisions and important life and death decisions, you shouldn't do it on 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah. I remember college people love those all-nighters, studying all night.
And again, it's different. When you're younger, you can do more, because you've got more hormones in your system, HGH, testosterone, they're amped up. So you can kind of push yourself. As you get older, it becomes really detriment to do it that way.
Yeah.
You really make bad decisions. And you can, I think Huberman on his podcast a couple of weeks ago spoke about, you can kind of correct a bad night's sleep by getting a good workout right away in the morning.
I saw that.
Yeah, you saw that too?
Yeah.
But you can't do that every day, right? You can do it as a corrective measure, maybe once every 10 days or so, but you can't do it back to back to back and expect to be 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. That one surprised me. I never knew working out could offset bad sleep. That was crazy to me. Yeah. Shout out to Huberman. He's coming on the show, actually.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah. I'm going to try to do my best on that one. That guy knows everything.
Yeah, he does.
Hopefully I could teach him a thing or two. Yeah. He's got one of the top, he might be the #1 health podcast right now.
I think, yeah, definitely up there.
Yeah, he's got some insane episodes, man. I've learned a lot listening to his show.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of noise on social media in your space.
There's a lot of noise. I mean, whether you go on the NIH website or Harvard Medical School, all the different studies out there, there's evidence that 95% of supplements don't actually enter your body. They just go in the mouth and they go out. You urinate them out. And it's a $60 billion domestic market, which means Americans have the most expensive urine on the planet.
Oh my God. That is insane, because people spend so much money on supplements.
Well, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors around it, right? There's a lot of, hey, I use ashwagandha, and here's 50 studies that says ashwagandha is good for this, 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 and this. Therefore, I am able to claim that. And that's completely false. You can't claim that. You actually have to do your own studies on your own product. And I would venture to say that a very small percentage of companies actually do tests on their product in the terms of IRB, independent third-party clinical studies.
That's why I only buy third-party tested supplements. I'll pay triple the price. I don't care.
I can't speak to that. I don't have the expertise on that to comment it, but logically it makes sense. I would only use products that I can know for sure have come to the right place. I'll give you an example. When we get our ingredients into our manufacturing facility, they're not clearly definitive. Like you see the pictures of a mint leaf and you see a picture of a ginger root.
Right.
They look very different, right? But when they come into the manufacturing, they all look like white or off-white powder.
That's weird.
Right? They're all powders, right? Think about everything goes in the capsules and the tablets, right? They're powders. They're dried and they're turned into powder. Well, when we started seeing that, we're like, test every single one to make sure, A, it goes in tandem with the certificate of analysis that we receive from the manufacturer, make sure it is what it is. There's a 20% failure rate.
Holy crap.
Right? And there's plenty of studies and, watchdog groups that have tested supplements, and they said there wasn't the same ratio of ingredients that they said there was on the supplement label. And
right.
There's, they're cracking down on this. And so we test every ingredient, we test the product, and then we went ahead and actually tested the final product, not only for, efficacy, but we tested it in the study groups.
Yeah.
And one of the big ones we did, because we got so many great phone calls from women going, this has changed my life, is we said, let's do a hot flash study. And so we did a hot flash study in 2023, 2024. Halfway through the study, with over 100 women in the study, we submitted the preliminary data to the North American Menopause Society. They actually invited us to present at their annual meeting to all the doctors in the meeting. We had a big poster display. And then they actually published in their medical journal the preliminary results. Later in 2024, when the final study was published, it proved that there was 100% efficacy, meaning every single woman in the study saw a benefit.
Wow.
The average reduction in hot flashes in the clinical study was 80%.
Holy crap.
Right?
That's insane.
The average improvement in sleep, duration of sleep, was in the high 70s. There was improvement in recovery, energy, libido, hair, skin, and nails, reduction in anxiety, and recovery from stressful situations much faster.
Damn.
And so again, we've actually tested the product. So take 1, feel good. Take 2, feel great. And take 3 and change your life.
That's insane. 100% efficacy. I've never heard that high.
We hadn't either, but you can look it up at the Medical Journal of Nutraceuticals and Food Sciences.
Wow.
Where it was published.
So it really works on women. I need to give some to the fiance then too.
It works on everyone as long as you kind of take the lifestyle choices as well, right? It's not a magic pill. Everyone wants a magic pill. That's why they jump to HRT, right? It's not a magic pill. You still have to make the good lifestyle choices, meaning eat healthy food, drink lots of water, just prioritize sleep, and be absolutely maniacal about how you use technology, right? You got to put that phone down. You got to stop watching TV. You got to stop binge watching and being obsessed with it. And I know people run their businesses on it, but we haven't evolved as human beings. We're the same human beings we've always been for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. This technology has only been around for 30 years. This is a new problem. Our grandparents didn't have this problem.
They didn't have trouble sleeping.
They didn't have a problem with cortisol. Now, Great Depression, war, hell yeah, of course. But I'm talking in general, take out the outliers. They didn't have a problem with cortisol.
Yeah.
The same way we do have that problem today. And cortisol is completely linked, in my opinion, to technology.
Probably the mental health crisis too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, people think that's just a reporting thing, but I think it's actually worse.
Right.
I think people are definitely experiencing worse symptoms than before.
A lot of people don't report it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn. 70% improvement in sleep, 80% reduction in hot flashes. Incredible, man. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Could people just buy this online?
Absolutely. Go to rebalancehealth.com and buy the hot flash system.
Cool.
And again, it's about being consistent, but also understanding the choices that you make every day to get the benefits, right? You cannot take the lozenges, sit on your couch, eat pizza, binge watch, whatever you want to binge watch, and drink some wine and then go to bed. It won't work.
Yeah. Yeah. People love that glass of wine at dinner, right?
They do, and it's their choice, absolutely. But understand what is actually happening in your body, that it actually converts to sugar within a few hours.
You mentioned water a few times. Going to bed dehydrated, does that impact your sleep?
Being dehydrated impacts everything in your body. Just really, you want to drink, I believe it's 50% of your body weight in ounces every day, if not more.
50%. Wow. So it'd be 90 for me. Yeah, I think.
Which isn't that crazy. Even when you got
this is a liter, so I don't know what that is.
Yeah, 25 ounces. So you got to drink 4 of these a day.
That's not too bad.
No, it's not too bad.
Plus, if you eat fruit and stuff, that might have some water, right?
Oh, everything, but try and drink water. Water.
Yeah, not plastic though.
Nah, out of glass.
Out of a glass,
I mean,
for sure.
There's so many things that have gone wrong in the past, 50 years. And, just think about it from the baby boomer generation onwards, right? You think about mass production of food, you talk about plastics, you talk about kind of the innovations that have happened, and everything for more convenience and speed and efficiency. But, we were better off when we were farm to table.
I love farm to table restaurants. I have this app called Seed Oil Scout.
Yep.
I only eat at Seed Oil Free restaurants.
Wow.
Or if I don't, I'll ask them to cook it in butter. I know it's kind of extreme for people, but
you must have information overload.
I do.
Podcast that you have. And
oh my God.
What's true and what's not.
I got to pick my battles, man. I really do. Yeah, a lot of information, but it's been awesome. Justin, anything else you want to close off with?
No, just know that this comes from our heart. We really have done the science, we've done the research, we put in the time. This isn't something we just came to market with in the past 6 months. We've been doing this for the better part of 4 years. And it comes from trying to find a real solution that evolved into helping my wife So we didn't cut corners. I didn't cheap out on ingredients. We didn't cheap out on manufacturing. We actually paid attention to every detail. We did the work, we did the science, and it's as simple as sucking on a mint lozenge a couple times a day to have a great night's sleep.
I love it. I'll take it this whole week and post on my Instagram the results.
Oh, you're amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for watching, guys. Check out his stuff, and I'll see you next time.